Welcome back to Two Tacky Travelers. This week we had an awesome experience at the Palo Duro State Park just outside of Amarillo, Texas.
Yes, it was a beautiful state park. We had so much fun going on the hiking trails, seeing the beautiful views of the Palo Duro Canyon. It was a great week. It was so great, in fact, that we did not have enough time to film our weekly vlog there, so we are actually doing it in our next destination.
Yep, so let's tell you all a little bit about it.
Let's dive right into Palo Duro Canyon State Park.
I wouldn't recommend literally diving in, more of a figurative. It's a deep canyon with no water at the bottom. You probably wouldn't live diving in.
That's a fair point, Austin. I didn't mean that literally. I meant that more figuratively.
Disclaimer, do not dive into the Palo Duro State Park. You will likely not survive.
Yes. Moving on from that, it is a beautiful state park. Palo Duro Canyon is the second biggest canyon in the United States, right behind the Grand Canyon. I'm not exactly sure where it falls on the world list, but it's a beautiful area. Tons of that orange, like orangey colored rock, sediment.
Yeah, it's a really awesome park, and the price is really hard to beat. So at $8 per adult that goes into the park, it's honestly a relatively affordable thing to do. With that being said, if you are looking at going for maybe a 3-day weekend or something like that, you might want to look at getting the Texas State Park Pass. It's only $70 per year, and that allows the driver of the vehicle or the pass holder to get anybody in their vehicle in for free after you spend the $70 to get the pass. And for us, it ended up saving us just a little bit of money for how often we kind of went in and out of the park. So definitely check into that, especially if you have more than 2 adults going with you.
Yeah. Or if you're visiting more than one Texas State Park, because it'll be good at those parks as well.
Yep. Palo Duro Canyon State Park has a ton of recreational activities, ranging from trails to accommodations for campgrounds, even horses and horse trails. Yeah, definitely they have a ton to do there.
Yes, tons to do. They've got even like a breakfast. No, not breakfast. It's a lunch dinner spot, and there's tons going on at that park, at the state park, and it's a beautiful area. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the first trail that we went on. We went on the Palo Duro Caves Trail. This is a 0.9 mile out and back trail. It's not on any of the maps that Palo Duro Canyon gives you when you first enter the park. You'll have to look for it on All Trails. We can definitely link it out from our
All Trails
app.
Yeah, check the description for that and the other trails that we went on. Just check the description. There'll be a lot of information in this video. We had a lot of fun at Palo Duro.
Yes, but that trail is really unique. You're able to see the caves and the canyon up close, and it's a pretty easy hike, so definitely recommend it for just about anyone.
Yeah, the next trail that we went on was the Peso De Rio Trail, which is a trail that follows the riverbed and actually pretty close to it's not on the road, but it's just off of the road. So you're always pretty close to getting off the trail if you need to for any reason. It was a really easy trail, pretty flat terrain, only a couple of crossings. Great if you have dogs or small kids. The dog we took loved it. A couple of the bridge crossings have some pretty wide planks, so just be careful if your dog isn't necessarily the most coordinated. Crossing those, Paul could go through it, and you don't want that to happen.
The third trail we went on was the Lighthouse Trail. This is the most popular trail at the Palo Duro Canyon State Park. I believe it says it even on the flyer, but this is a 5.8 miles out and back trail, and the middle of the trail is where you will see the beautiful lighthouse formation.
Yeah, it is a spectacular hike. Getting to it, the first probably 80 to 90% of the trail is pretty easy, pretty flat terrain. You got some hills, but you have beautiful scenery the entire time. It's really that last 0.1 or 0.2 miles when you're really starting to get to the summit of the Lighthouse Rock itself that it can be a little difficult. We saw plenty of people taking their small dogs and small kids out there. I don't know if it's necessarily kid-friendly.
I would say it's probably not kid-friendly. We went up quite a bit of... The last quarter mile was pretty much complete rock going up as far as that goes. I mean, I was using my hands to, like, basically climb up it. Austin was
doing the same thing.
Doing the same thing, and even on the way down, it was quite a bit of coordination. Like, I could not hold my GoPro while we were going up or down, and I think that really tells to how difficult it was to keep your balance and to make sure that you stayed going up or going down the cliffside, whichever one you're supposed to be doing, and not the other.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of parts where you're going up. There's two trails to go up and down. We ended up going up one side, down the other, which is what most people seem to do. The way that we chose to go up had a couple of points where there was just a sheer drop off to the right, where you're kind of having to pick yourself up with your hands and push up on top of the next section just to get to keep progressing. And for a small kid, that might be a little nerve-wracking as the parent, because you never know what kids are going to do, I feel like, but I don't think they would jump off the side of a mountain.
And there's, from my remembrance of the trail, there's no signs that say, like, hey, like, this is the part where it gets kind of scary or anything like that.
You hit this section at the 2.7 mile marker that's got a picnic table, a bike rack, and a couple things. So you can kind of tell that you're at a point where they're recommending that you kind of settle down for a second before we're moving on. Once you hit that point, if you have kids and you were just out there to go on a scenic hike, you might turn around, you might not. Depends on what your risk assessment is.
Yes, and once you get up to after you've gone up the cliffside, or however you want to say that, then you can still continue to climb all the way up into the lighthouse, because it's not an actual lighthouse, but the lighthouse formation. And from it, there is kind of a walk across with huge falls on either side, but it's 20 feet wide. Austin and I went ahead and went up there. I will put the video in of us being up there. It was super windy. I don't even know how fast the wind was going. It was seriously moving backpacks. Like,
we had gusts of wind at over 35 miles per hour is what it was reported as. It might have been higher than that up on the top. Definitely something to take a look for. It was a little sketchy at times when it got going and was continuously going. We took our backpacks off to kind of get up onto it, and at one point I thought that the camera backpack was going to go tumbling off a cliff, which that's an expensive mistake to make.
Yes, and I had lenses in there and things like that, which is obviously why it being an expensive mistake, but it, again, just to say how much weight it did have in it, walking across was very nerve-wracking for me. I pretty much was just under a panic the whole time we were up there, but it is beautiful. So if you have a supportive friend who's a little more adventurous, like Austin is my friend and my husband. I don't know if you ever said that. But they can be a great addition to your hike. For those of us who freak out a little bit on those things. Yeah,
it's a great hike. Don't let the kind of risk assessment that we're taking here steer you away from going from it. As long as you take your time and you make sure that you're focusing on what you're doing whenever you're in the more dangerous parts, it seems safe enough. Once you get up there, it's definitely worth the work to get there. The view is spectacular. You get to see a vantage point of the canyon that is really just hard to match.
I bet you wish you brought the wind
We do have a few tips if you are visiting Palo Duro Canyon State Park. The first thing is get there early, especially for those trails like the Lighthouse Trail that are super long. You don't want to be out hiking or biking in the middle of the day between, I would say, probably 11 and 3. Now, we did have beautiful weather when we were there, but any any later than March and probably any sooner than October, you're going to want to get out there pretty early.
Beat the sun.
Beat the sun, beat the heat kind of thing.
Speaking of the sun, remember sunscreen. As a very fair-skinned individual with red hair, I find myself burning quite easily. And with that, even with it only being like 75 degrees in early March, on the way back, I could tell I was starting to get a little too much sun. Ended up having to put my sweatshirt back on, which is not ideal when it's a relatively warm day and you're hiking. So bring sunscreen. Don't be like me.
Yes, bring sunscreen. There is not a lot of shade on the trail, so you're going to want to bring sunscreen and bring water. Make sure you definitely have enough water for you and, your group, that sort of thing, because the sun is beating down on you as there is very limited shade.
Be prepared.
Yes, you're going to want to have snacks, whether that's granola bars. You can bring some granola bars. That's a great snack for a trail. Some nuts. I'm trying to think what else that we brought. Some people like to bring fruit.
Brought a couple of PB&Js.
Yes.
It's not too long of a hike. Depending on what time you go, you might want lunch in the middle of it. It's definitely long enough that if you want to, take your time with it. Have lunch on the trail. It's honestly a beautiful sightseeing trail. So
yes, yeah. Just be prepared for those things. So sunscreen, water, snacks, and be sure to get out there early.
this week we found ourselves going into both Canyon, Texas and Amarillo to see what each town kind of had to offer.
The first spot we ended up going to was in Amarillo. It was called Gyrosoft Cafe and Bakery. It was a really good spot. I think it's called Huevos. I'll put the title in there, but it was really good food. Austin, what did you have?
I had a smothered burrito, and then we also got a cinnamon roll to share. And as a bakery, we expected it to be good, but it was like a really, really good cinnamon roll.
It was phenomenal. You know how the outside of the cinnamon roll, sometimes people make it more crunchy? Well, this one was like the outside was like the inside. The really good inside parts of the cinnamon roll, it was like that, but like all the way through. It was the best cinnamon roll.
Yeah. The next thing we found ourselves at was Fun Noodle Bar, which was a very, very good Asian cuisine place. They seem to predominantly look at like Chinese food, plus the most popular things of like Japanese and Korean culture as well. And it was super good. We kind of ended up ordering a couple things to share, and we would definitely recommend checking it out. They had some awesome spicy wontons, some pork dumplings
that were really good. So definitely recommend checking that spot out. It's a great place to eat.
Yeah, and then in Canyon, Texas, Tara found a awesome coffee shop called Journey Canyon Coffee.
Yes, I actually ended up going there twice. The coffee is really good, and the service is great. The baristas and all the people working there are really sweet. So I definitely recommend stopping in there.
So after our hike on the Lighthouse Trail on Saturday, we found ourselves heading to Joe Tacos in Canyon, Texas. And let me tell you, it was really good. They are not shooting for super authentic, like Mexican cuisine. So don't go there expecting that. But what they did have to offer was really good. They had a Mexican brisket, which I got in a burrito, and it was just honestly delicious.
It was really good. I also had the Mexican brisket, but I had it in an avocado. It was super tasty. Definitely recommend that spot. And the last spot we went in Canyon, Texas to eat was Buff's. And this was a fast casual place, and we went there for breakfast. I had some really good omelet as well as hash browns. So definitely recommend that spot.
It may not be an elephant in the room, but let's talk about the dinosaur with boots.
Cowboy boots specifically.
The Big Texan.
Yes. We did end up going to the Big Texan. I believe we went on a Friday night.
Yep.
And, well, there was a lot of interesting things happening in that area. I'm not exactly sure if we would recommend it.
Yeah. As far as an activity to go do, it was pretty interesting. Our wait wasn't too long. The service was good. They were friendly. The food, on the other hand, honestly, overall was pretty mediocre. And it seems that they're more focused on delivering the experience that people expect there and not necessarily focused on how the food comes out. Terra steak was ordered medium rare, and it came out
like medium well,
if not well done.
Yeah.
I ordered a thing of a rack of ribs. They came out bone dry and super tough, which is not what you want to see. But overall, honestly, our server was fantastic. The appetizers we ordered were good.
The atmosphere was really fun. There was a lot going on. I can see why people like to stop there. I guess I don't know. It's a steakhouse and their steaks weren't good, and Austin had ribs and the ribs weren't that great, and kind of tears us for wanting to say, like, go there. But
yeah, if you have like small kids, the atmosphere might be pretty good for them. Don't go there expecting like the top of the line gourmet food. That's not what you're going to get there. You're going to get food that's passable. You're going to get an atmosphere that's pretty interesting and a lot of history there. So just go there with your expectations in line with that, and I think that you won't be disappointed.
We did a little shopping in Canyon, Texas. We went to Canyon Popcorn Company. This was a very cute little shop just outside of the downtown area of Canyon. And they have popcorn there and old-fashioned sodas and candy and stuff like that. And they make all their popcorn in-house. They've got like several, 50 flavors or something
It was a ton. If you go in, I recommend sampling the Dr. Pepper popcorn, not because I thought it was good, but because it was so interesting that I think everybody should have to try it.
Yes. But we did end up grabbing some caramel corn from there, as well as a couple of candy bars for our drive to our next destination that we're at now. So
yeah. We also found ourselves at the Palo Duro Canyon Outfitters, which is an outdoors store. They sell hiking boots, hiking equipment, camping supplies. Honestly, it was a really good place to stop in at. The people that were working there were super friendly, super helpful. We ended up picking up a couple of different items that we had been looking for.
Yeah, so we each got a Palo Duro t-shirt, and I feel like their design is like pretty on point, so I like it. And then I think we got a couple of pairs of socks and just some random things, but it was a great little stop.
Yeah. Other things we did when we were in the Amarillo area is we went to the Cadillac Ranch, which is a pretty well-known kind of landmark where there is a bunch of old Cadillacs buried in the ground where people are allowed to go out there and join in on the art exhibition and spray paint them.
Yes, it was an interesting spot. I'm not exactly sure. Like, it was interesting, but we didn't end up spray painting the Cadillacs or anything like that. The spray paint is very thick on there.
Yes, it's honestly, the thing I found the coolest was seeing how many layers of spray paint there was on it and what the heat in the summer of Texas and the like desert did to it. And you get some pretty cool effects with it. Yeah. It was free to get into. If you're passing by or you're close by in Amarillo, go check it out. It's free. Yeah. I don't know what else I could say about it. Yes.
The other things that we did were in Canyon, Texas. So Canyon is the small town just a little bit away from Palo Duro Canyon State Park. We went and saw the Tex Randall Statue, which is, I'm pretty sure he's like a famous character throughout Texas, kind of like Paul Bunyan or Johnny Caw, if you know that, of the area.
Shout out to our people from Manhattan, Kansas.
Yes.
All 12 of you.
And then we went to Canyon Downtown, which is a super cute little downtown area. It's a nice square downtown, has some shopping, has some eateries, like the taco place we went, and a couple other spots as well.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out. It was a really nice little town, only about 15 minutes from our campsite.
When I went to book this trip for us, I looked at staying at the Palo Duro Canyon State Park. When I looked, there were no spots available. It was completely full. And then we had to start exploring our other options. And we ended up staying at the Canyon Rim RV Park. And this was a great spot. And it was actually much better for us than Palo Duro Canyon State Park. Not that their accommodations aren't great, but it is a 12 to 15 minute delay to get down into the canyon where the campgrounds are. And from our Canyon Rim RV Park spot, we were already 15 minutes from a Walmart, so it would have added more time to get to any of those sorts of things.
Yeah, as full-time travelers, we find ourselves having to pop into town for various purposes, whether that's going grocery shopping or whether that's going to a laundromat to do laundry. So adding additional time into those trips can sometimes be a little frustrating. Sometimes there's no way around it and we just kind of deal with it. But whenever we can avoid it, sometimes we'll change what park we decide to stay at based off of proximity to other things. This time around, Canyon Rim was an awesome pick. Like Tara mentioned, it saved us about 15 to 20 minutes of having to drive up the canyon road, the state park roads throughout the canyon to kind of get back up to the ground level. Canyon Rim RV Park was literally a 30-second drive from the main entrance of the state park anyways, so it's not like it's far away.
Yeah, no, not at all. It was $32 a night, and we had full hookups. They have bathrooms on site, but not showers, so you're going to need to be kind of a more self-contained RV or camper trailer kind of thing. And this $32 a night was compared to $26 a night at the state park, so I'd say it's a pretty good deal.
Especially with the full hookups, those of you that deal with dumping the black tank at a dump station, sometimes that can get a little frustrating, especially as you're trying to check out on departure day.
Yes. The other thing about Palo Duro Canyon State Park is there can be quite a line to get in. I will show you a clip now of what it was like Saturday, I think, afternoon. I mean, people were backed up all the way to the entrance of
The campground.
the campground that we were staying at. And they do have limitations. The campground does, or the Palo Duro Canyon State Park has limitations of how many people they can let in. So you could end up sticking pretty far in that line waiting to get in after, going out to eat or grabbing groceries, whatever that might be.
Yeah, speaking of their capacity limits, they do have the opportunity to reserve day pass use. So if you are planning on going to Palo Duro, especially during like peak seasons, spring break, summer vacation times, definitely go online to their website, find where you can reserve those and do that. Because once you reserve that spot online, you're guaranteed a spot inside the park on your given day. You'll still have to wait in that line. So I'm not sure what that process looks like, how they turn people away and how fast you'll get through it. But once you get to the front, you will be let in, where if you didn't have that reservation, you may not. So that's something to consider if you're planning on going to Palo Duro State Park, which again, we can't recommend enough. Definitely go check it out if you're in the area or you're planning a trip to see some great outdoor sights.
Yes. The last thing we want to mention about our campground is we had beautiful canyon views from. There is a zip line at the campground as well. That's kind of a different attraction portion of their campground. We did not end up doing that because it was not open during this colder season for them. But there's a trail out to see the beautiful canyon views, and they let us go ahead and walk down there. So please do ask permission, though. But the park host / owners, they were really awesome. They were super sweet, and I'm sure they'd let you walk down there.
One thing we do want to make a note of in this video is the drone footage you see of the canyon was taken not within the state park. To be able to legally film, to be able to legally take off and land within the state park, you have to have a filming permit, which is not something we were able to secure before we arrived, and it would have taken too long for us to get it once we were there. So if you want to fly your drone there, make sure you reach out beforehand. There is a processing fee, and they do require insurance and stuff like that. All of the footage you see of the canyon was we took off and landed outside of the state park. If we were flying over the state park, we maintained visual line of sight at all times of the drone, followed all FAA guidelines, state laws, and local laws. Again, I am a Part 107 certified pilot. If you all see anything in this video that you think may be in violation of any part, please reach out to me. Let me know if there's anything that we can do to improve. Again, I don't think there was anything. We certainly did our best to follow all guidelines. But please let us know in the comments if you saw anything.
We would like to know if you have ever had a scary experience on the trail that you were on that gave you a little bit of a panic, whether that's from an extreme height, maybe a wildlife encounter, hopefully not. But let us know in the comments what your trail experience has been like and if there's anything that's made you given you a panic. If you want to keep up with us, be sure to follow us on social media at Two Techie Travelers. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Pinterest.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and you all have a great day. Tara, we forgot to talk about the goats and deer.
Oh shoot, we did. I don't even remember what they were called though.
The Aodad. I am probably mispronouncing that.
Yes, we. Funny enough, I was on TikTok, of course, and scrolling, and there was. I wish I could find this TikTok. A woman opened her camper door, and there were two burros, outside of their...
Donkeys, for those of you that don't know. Okay.
Donkeys outside of their camper door. And I was like, oh my God, that'd be so cool. Austin, what if we woke up and, there were donkeys outside of our door? How would our dogs react kind of thing?
Literally, the next day.
The next day, we opened the door. I did not notice them at first, but there were the goats of this area, which I'll put their name up somewhere.
Aodad is how I'm going to pronounce it.
Aodad goats. They were 25 feet away from us. One, I didn't notice them at first, and then Austin pointed them out.
There was 20 of them. I don't know how you didn't see them.
I don't know. I was too focused on something else. But yeah, it was really cool. Obviously don't pet the goats, but
they were wild animals, so yes. I wouldn't recommend approaching them.
And they had the big horns.
They'll mess you up.
Yeah. Yeah, but they seem friendly from a distance, wave kind of thing.
Yeah, but then a couple days later, we also saw quite a few regional deer. I'm not sure what what species of deer they are, but they're not whitetail. I know that much.
Yeah, they definitely were not whitetail. But yeah, it was a really cool experience to see all that wildlife up close. I will share a goal with you of mine. It is to photograph a bear. I would like to photograph a bear, not close. I have a very long lens that I'd like to use to photograph a bear. And so hopefully I'll get to be able to do that soon and survive and tell you the tale of it.
So the moral of the story is get outside, see some wildlife.
Exactly.
They're pretty cool.